Basically, Swissnex India is one of 5 platforms of the Swiss government that is implanted in the world-leading innovation hubs, such as Boston, San Francisco, Shanghai, Rio de Janeiro, and since 2010 here in India. Our mission is to foster exchange, to facilitate collaborations in education, research, and innovation between India and Switzerland. So we work a lot with Swiss startups and Indian startups. We work a lot with university, obviously, students, researchers. We work with innovative companies, even with Bosch India, and as well with the creative sector, such as designers and artists. So we like to see ourselves not just as a consulate, but a little bit like a startup as well. We are a team of 20, mostly young people, very driven and passionate about technology and about research. We're very much partnership driven, so we work with institutions such as IIT Bombay, such as Bosch I just mentioned, or even with the Ministry of Energy in Switzerland. So, as you might have noticed, the tagline of today's event is International Partnerships for Innovation and Sustainable Partnerships. So just allow me to say a few words and share a few thoughts on this tagline. As a small country with less inhabitants than Bengaluru, that is, with only 8 million, Switzerland is very much dependent on international collaboration and on international partnerships. This is particularly true in education and research. So for instance, 80% of all scientific co-publications are with international partners. And if you look at some of the top research institutions in Switzerland, up to 50% of the faculties are from abroad. So being able to attract international talent is an important part of Switzerland's ability to remain competitive and to remain innovative. Having talked to many researchers and innovators over the last couple of years, a little bit all over the world, I came to realize that when they come to Switzerland, it's not just for the quality of the research institutions. And they also don't come to Switzerland just because of our wonderful cheese and chocolate, although I admit it is a very good selling point. But when I speak to researchers, what I realize is that they come to Switzerland also for the quality of life, for the proximity to the nature and the good infrastructure. So to build a strong science and innovation ecosystem, sustainable and resilient cities are actually a key argument to attract and retain those talents. At the same time, research and innovation obviously plays an important role in making cities more sustainable. I've lived the last couple of years in Bern, worked for the Swiss government, and there what we would do during the summer, when it was nice weather, we would go outside, jump in our bathing suits, walk down the street, and cool down in the river. So we'd swim down the river in Bern. And a couple of years ago, that would have been unthinkable, because Swiss lakes and rivers were very polluted. And so one important step towards taking action was through the creation of EAWAG, which is the Federal Institute of Aquatic Sciences. Over the last decade, this institute has provided the scientific basis to formulate and take policy action, which many years later allowed me to swim down the river during lunchtime. Maybe on a side note, if you now Google clean Swiss lakes, you might find some articles that will argue that Swiss lakes in the meantime are actually too clean, because the lower concentration of phosphate in the water, which leads to less algae, and so the fish have less to eat. So environmentalists are very happy, but fishermen are a bit less happy. At Swissnex India, we believe that research and innovation on these kind of topics will also nurture Indo-Swiss relations. So for instance, the aforementioned EAWAG institution has collaborated recently with IIT Madras on the topic of small-scale sewage treatment plants. A few weeks ago, we actually welcomed students from the University of Applied Science from Lucerne who was looking into how to build buildings with bamboo. So sustainable cities will actually be one of the core topics of Swissnex India in the years to come, and I hope that I can maybe connect with you afterwards over coffee to discuss further collaborations. So this is also why I'm particularly happy actually that at this conference there will be some Swiss projects showcased, such as the presentation on data-informed urban planning approaches by Fabien Clavier from ETH Zurich's Future Cities Lab in Singapore. And also we will have Mr. Ashish Rao, who will talk about the Capacities Project, a project funded by the Swiss Development Agency on addressing the greenhouse gas emissions issue. And tomorrow actually we'll have my colleague Pratik Kare talking about how we're trying to build an ecosystem for startups between India and Switzerland. So I invite you to hopefully attend those sessions, and I hope that we'll have the opportunity to connect afterwards over coffee. And so with that, I wish you a very good conference, and thank you so much again for having me.